Oh, gosh. I love this community so much. I think you guys have figured that out by now. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of it. One of my favorite things is when I get to invite friends of mine who have touched my life in meaningful ways to meet you. And so today we have with us my friend, Reverend Hannah Rothlin. I met Hannah about 15 years ago. And she was bopping around in Tevas and short shorts and looked very athletic. And so I thought, I'm going to avoid her. I'll go to the meditation workshop or something. But there was something about her that I just loved. And so we got to talking, and I just loved her so much. And so she was leading kayaking tours at Asilomar, which is in the Monterey Peninsula. And I tell you, it was a life-changing experience for me just to be with her insight and wisdom and in that magnificent setting. If you've ever been to Monterey, there's places where you look over the bay and there's all the sea lions and seal and all that happening. But I'll tell you, when you're underneath that looking up, it's an entirely different experience. And the majesty of those animals is magnificent. So Reverend Hannah has always had this nature part of her being. She'll tell you about that. And so she has developed a ministry called New Thought Nature Retreats and Spirit Quests. She does 5-day vision quests, 10-day vision quests. I'm waiting for the vision quest light, that I'll look at, right? And so all of her work is around appreciating and involving nature. She has a master's of consciousness studies. She's a minister. She's an outdoor guide. She's a health and wellness guru. She has got it going on. So I'm so delighted that I get to have her be meeting you today and you meeting her. We're going to begin her presentation with a slideshow, and then she's going to talk to you. She's going to give you a little talking to, okay?
Because I felt right from the start the steady beat of my faithful heart. For all of this and so much more, I am grateful. Because I think, because I feel, because there's mystery to reveal. For all of this and so much more, I am grateful. I'm grateful.
am so grateful to have an opportunity to be here in this beautiful and amazing community. Thank you, Reverend Marty, for inviting me and drawing me into Utah and St. George and so close to Salt Lake City. So it is so good to be here. Today I want to just share with you something that you already know, which the divine pattern and the gift of life has already been given, and we are just here to remember that. We saw that in our slideshow, that the amazing diversity, the amazing creation of life has already been given. And as what we focus on expands. And so today I just want to touch on this idea of our role of creating a world that works for everyone and all of life. Part of my ministry, New Thought Nature Ministries, is really focused on the all life part. Every one of us has the answer within us, and part of what a focus ministry is a different kind of ministry that is a little bit outside of the box. And I'm a little outside of the box. And I want to complement our centers. And so what I am doing is I travel and I speak and I partner with centers like you to basically celebrate our philosophy and then drag you all outside to practice that philosophy and be in the presence of God as spirit and nature. So I have a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. So today what I want to do is very quickly take us around the wheel of life, the seasons of our lives, and just remind each one of us that we are complex beings and we have different aspects of our lives, but this is part of the amazing diversity of who we are. And as we balance ourselves internally, we begin to line up with the amazing balance and order that the universe mirrors for us. Now, in this, the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living is to create a world that works for everyone and all of life. And so as we focus on the vision of creating a world that works, then we begin to see that. And so this morning, I wanted to work with the indigenous wisdom of the ages, of the seasons, the medicine wheel, the cycles of life. So just touching on our spiritual life, our physical life, our emotional life, and our intellectual life, because we are all of these things. Now, just to let you know, how did I get here? I drug myself out of the wilderness, and what am I doing here? In my early 20s, I found my passion, which was being out in nature. And I had found my path. That was my church. I didn't know that I was having a spiritual experience. I just knew that I loved being outdoors and I felt comfortable and safe there. And so I found my way. I was going to be a park ranger, and I did training with the National Outdoor Leadership School, NOLS. Some of you might be familiar with that. And I thought that was going to be my path. And then one day, I was picking up a canoe. And when I picked up that canoe, I felt this little twinge in my lower back. And in that moment, that changed the course of my life. And what had happened in the picking up of the canoe, I ruptured a disc in my back, and my outdoor career ended, and I began a journey of potential surgery and physical therapy and a whole life that I had not planned on. Does anybody ever have something that you didn't plan on? I would not have signed up for that. And as I look back, that journey brought me to this moment, and I would not change anything for that experience. And so it was one of those dark night of the soul journeys that also got me to go into my spiritual life. One of the recommendations before back surgery was to lay in bed for a month. Now, has anybody ever tried to do that? Now, I was a complete physical being, and that meant that I couldn't do what I naturally did. And so, but I was motivated by the desire to get better. And it was in that time that I had to go into my emotional journey, into my mental chatter of who am I if I'm not a physical being. And that helped me to eventually find the truth of my being is I'm not my physical body. I'm not what I do in the world. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And so in that experience, that's when I stumbled into a Center for Spiritual Living as I was looking for answers and began my healing journey, which took me into the field of health and wellness. And I also began my spiritual journey. So life circumstances at this point, as I've pursued my spiritual journey and my healing journey of body, that now the wilderness and wholeness and nature and spirituality have all come together into this ministry called New Thought Nature Ministries. And so what I want to remind us all, whatever season you are in your life, you're right on track. And often in the seasons of our lives, we may have multiple seasons going on. You might be in the spring of your relationship life, but in the fall and releasing of your financial life. You may be in the winter, which is nothing is going on around your career. And so there are multi-dimensions of aspects of our lives. So I heard the wonderful song about Martin Luther King. I have a dream. I have a dream that all centers for spiritual living will be applying our spiritual principles to be green, to recognize the outer life and the inner life is all the same. And sometimes we need to go to the mountaintop to fly above the circumstances of life. Sometimes when we look at the world, we're not always seeing something that works. But what we get to do as spiritual beings is to raise above the circumstances of life and see the beauty that is all around us in the natural world and in our inner world. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says that spiritual wisdom says that God manifests through everything and is incarnated in all people, and that divinity, that all is divinity, and that nature herself is the body of God. Nature herself is the body of God. When I read that in my first foundations class, I knew I was in. This philosophy was my place to be because I found a word. I found the words that helped me identify what that deep, profound experience was in nature. And so what I want to remind us all is our journey in the outer world, our inner journey is the place where we begin. Our inner journey is remembering the wholeness and the truth of who we are as spiritual beings. We are whole, complete, and perfect in every way. We have to lift up above the circumstances of life to remember that. Now, part of our remembering is going back to that time before, when we were, as children, we did not know about the past or the future. We were in the moment. We were in the joy of life. We were in the moment. Earth laughs as flowers. Emerson was a big influence on Ernest Holmes. And when we find ourselves in nature, if we're going to look out in the world for something we can believe what spirit in nature reflects back to us. There is a divine harmony, wholeness, cycles and seasons of all things. And so part of our journey as spiritual beings is we come into this human experience and remembering that inner child, remembering the part of us that is filled with joy, filled with imagination and possibilities. That is how we are creating a world that works. When we see the possibilities and find our excitement, find our energy and enthusiasm, and we step out in possibility. So part of our journey around the wheel of life as spiritual beings coming into the physical form, we also have that season of fall, where there are the times in our lives that we have to let go. We have to let go of something so that something new can come forth. And if you are in this room, I'm going to guesstimate that you've had to let go of a few things in your life up to this point. Sometimes it's our health, sometimes it's our dreams, sometimes it's relationships and finances. And often multiple things will fall away, but new things come forth on our journey of remembering the truth of who we are. So the quote here is, "The clearest way to the universe is through a forest wilderness," by John Muir. Sometimes the forest gets a little thick on the journey and we can't see the forest through the trees, or the trees through the forest. I can't remember which way that goes, but we can't see the truth. And so if we look into the face of nature, nature reminds us that change is always necessary. And if you're on your spiritual journey, things keep changing because you are changing from the inside. And often our life in the outer world begins to change. Things have to fall away. People have to fall away. Jobs that aren't serving us have to fall away. But if we can trust the movement of our life, there is something that is greater that's coming. So part of the journey around our evolution of life and our spiritual journey, our spiritual life, our physical life, our emotional life, we come around the wheel to wisdom. We come around to the north of recognizing spiritual truth, our true north. Spirit as north. We step into taking full responsibility for our lives and the circumstances of our lives. When we come around the wheel of wisdom, we can't put the blame on anyone else. There's that, if I'm pointing out here, there's 3 fingers pointing back at myself. The best place that I can put my attention is on the world that I'm creating. Is my world working for me? How am I relating to the all life? And so in the message today, I want to remind us that we have so much to be grateful for. Spirit as nature has given itself fully and completely to us. The things that sustain us, our basic needs, are provided for. Shelter, warmth, water, and food. Sometimes we take these things for granted. If we don't have those basic things, we cannot survive as human beings. And in this part of the world, we are blessed to have of those things. And so every day when I wake up, I try to remember how very blessed I am because of Spirit as nature providing that which I need to be sustained. And in my gratitude for this, I have committed my life and my ministry to giving back to nature, Spirit as nature, as gratitude for the beauty. And since I was this nature person, part of my dharma in the world is to create opportunities for all of us to find our way to remember how to be in nature, whether it's for an afternoon workshop where we take time to have some silence and solitude in a natural place, or we do a weekend camp out and we look at our relationship with nature from a spiritual standpoint. Or, like Marty said, I have a light version of a 5-day vision quest. I call it a gentle quest. And I have a 10-day vision quest, which the essence of any of the nature programs is to create a container for silence and solitude so that spirit as nature can reveal to you whatever it is that you are needing. And again, the journey of the wheel of life, wherever you are, you're right on track. The spiritual tools that we offer in this philosophy are prayer, meditation, study, service, and giving. And I'm going to add a 6th one, which is spending time in nature. So if you would like to work with some of the aspects of the wheel of life and the seasons and where you are in creating a world that works, I invite you to come to the workshop this afternoon, and we're going to do some hands-on experience with that. The quote on here, because I know it's hard to read, our wise Ernest Holmes says, "Nature seems to await our comprehension of her. Since she is governed by immutable laws, the ignorance of which excuses no man from its effects. The bondage of humanity must be a result of the ignorance of the true nature of reality. Nature seems to await our comprehension of her." There is wisdom in spirit as nature to help guide us to finding the balance. The workshop this afternoon, spiritual climate change. I absolutely know that as we come into balance in our inner spiritual life, our spiritual climate, that we will begin to shift the outer climate of the world. It's the only way to go. So the invitation for all of us as we leave here today is remembering your inner nature. If you lose your way at any time, just take time to sit in your garden. Look at the beautiful mountains. Ask Spirit as nature, what is the truth? What can I learn and how can I serve? Let's just close in prayer. So we take this idea of gratitude. We take that gratitude inward. I'm so grateful for the very breath that I breathe. I'm so very grateful for my beating heart. As I breathe and my heart beats, I know that Spirit is present right where I am. I know that Spirit is present where each one of us is. I know that Spirit is present in all of life. All of life. The four-leggeds, the trees, the flying ones, the swimming ones, the plants, the rocks, the stars, the sun and the moon. It is all the gift that has been given. So in this very moment, I know that the qualities of Spirit as nature, which is wholeness and perfection and divine order and perfect and right timing, that is who I am. That is who each one of us in this room is. That is the truth of all of life. So I am knowing that no matter where we are on our journey in the seasons of our own lives, that we are moving in the direction of creating a world that works in our own life and all of life. because the journey of life is always evolving. It is always evolving upward and expanding for the good of all. So I am very grateful for this time to come together to remember wholeness, abundance, health and wellness and goodness, perfect and right work, perfect and right action and timing for all things in life. Because this is the only thing that is going on. The only thing that is going on is God, Spirit, Source, and it is all good. And so I release this prayer into that law, that natural law that says, yes, there is divine order in all things. And I trust it. I let it be. I let it go. And join me in saying, and so it is.